The Black Watch of Canada is a reserve infantry regiment in 34 Brigade Group, 2nd Canadian Division of the Canadian Army. The regiment is located on Bleury Street in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, and is currently commanded by Lieutenant Colonel Christopher Phare, CD. The regiment's armoury was designated a National Historic Site of Canada in 2008. They are the Senior Canadian-Scottish Regiment. History: the volunteers have served since the regiment's inception in Montreal on January 31, 1862, as the 5th Battalion, Volunteer Militia Rifles of Canada. The rise of American military strength during the Civil War concerned Canada. The government authorized formation of militia regiments. Each of 6 Montreal Scottish chieftains responded by raising an infantry company for the 5th Battalion. Eventually, 8 companies were raised. Since then, thousands of Canadian citizens have served in the Black Watch. In addition to service during the Fenian raids, they have fought in the Great War and the Second World War, bolstered NATO operations in Europe and UN peacekeeping worldwide, and helped their fellow Canadians at home during the 1998 ice storm and 2011 flooding in Quebec. The Black Watch is the oldest Highland Regiment in Canada. The Black Watch of Canada originated in Montreal, Quebec on the 31st of January 1862 as the 5th Battalion Volunteer Militia Rifles, Canada. It was redesignated as the 5th Battalion, the Royal Light Infantry of Montreal on the 7th of November 1862 as the 5th Battalion, Royal Fusiliers on the 19th of November 1875. The regiment officially became a Scottish regiment when it was redesignated as the 5th Battalion, Royal Scots Fusiliers on the 27th of February 1880. It was subsequently redesignated the 5th Battalion, Royal Scots of Canada on the 29th of February 1884, the 5th Regiment Royal Scots of Canada on the 8th of May 1900, the 5th Regiment Royal Scots of Canada Highlanders on the 2nd of May 1904, the 5th Regiment Royal Highlanders of Canada on the 1st of October 1906, the Royal Highlanders of Canada on the 29th of March 1920, the Black Watch of Canada on the 1st of January 1930, finally assuming its current name, the Black Watch of Canada on the 1st of July 1935. On the 16th of October 1953, it was amalgamated with the 1st and 2nd Canadian Highland Battalions. Lineage: the Black Watch of Canada originated the 31st of January 1862 in Montreal, Quebec as the 5th Battalion Volunteer Militia Rifles, Canada, redesignated the 7th of November 1862 as the 5th Battalion, the Royal Light Infantry of Montreal, redesignated the 19th of November 1875 as the 5th Battalion, Royal Fusiliers, redesignated the 27th of February 1880 as the 5th Battalion, Royal Scots Fusiliers, redesignated the 29th of February 1884 as the 5th Battalion, Royal Scots of Canada, redesignated the 8th of May 1900 as the 5th Regiment Royal Scots of Canada, redesignated the 2nd of May 1904 as the 5th Regiment Royal Scots of Canada Highlanders, redesignated the 1st of October 1906 as the 5th Regiment Royal Highlanders of Canada, redesignated the 29th of March 1920 as the Royal Highlanders of Canada, redesignated the 1st of January 1930 as the Black Watch of Canada, redesignated 1 July 1935 as the Black Watch of Canada, amalgamated 16 October 1953 with the 1st Canadian Highland Battalion and the 2nd Canadian Highland Battalion, which became the 1st and 2nd Battalions, respectively, while the reserve component of the regiment became the 3rd Battalion. 1 July 1970 the 1st and 2nd Battalions were reduced to nil strength and transferred to the Supplementary Order of Battle, and the Reserve Force Battalion automatically relinquished its numerical designation. The 1st Canadian Highland Battalion originated 4 May 1951 in Valcartier, Quebec, amalgamated 16 October 1953 with the Black Watch of Canada and redesignated as the 1st Battalion, the Black Watch of Canada. The 2nd Canadian Highland Battalion originated 10 April 1952 in Aldershot, Nova Scotia, amalgamated 16 October 1953 with the Black Watch of Canada and redesignated as the 2nd Battalion, the Black Watch of Canada. Perpetuations. War of 1812 5th Battalion, Select Embodied Militia. The Great War 13th Battalion, CEF, 42nd Battalion, CEF, 73rd Battalion, CEF. Operational history. The Fenian Raids. The 5th Battalion, the Royal Light Infantry of Canada, was called out on active service on 8 March 1866 and served on the southeastern frontier until it was removed from active service on 31 March 1866. The battalion was again called out on active service on 24 May 1870, again serving on the southeastern frontier until it was removed from active service on 31 May 1870. South African War. The regiment did not fight in the Boer War in South Africa, but contributed volunteers for the various Canadian units, mainly to the 2nd Battalion, Royal Canadian Regiment of Infantry. The Great War details of the 5th Regiment, Royal Highlanders of Canada, were placed on active service on 6 August 1914 for local protective duty. The 13th Battalion, CEF, was authorized on 1 September 1914 and embarked for Great Britain on 26 September 1914, disembarking in France on 16 February 1915, where it fought as part of the 3rd Infantry Brigade, 1st Canadian Division in France and Flanders until the end of the war. The 13th Battalion was disbanded on 15 September 1920. The 42nd Battalion, CEF, was authorized on 7 November 1914 and embarked for Great Britain on 10 June 1915, disembarking in France on 9 October 1915, where it fought as part of the 7th Infantry Brigade, 3rd Canadian Division in France and Flanders until the end of the war. The battalion was disbanded on 15 September 1920. The 73rd Battalion, CEF, was authorized on 10 July 1915 and embarked for Great Britain on 31 March 1916, disembarking in France on 13 August 1916, where it fought as part of the 12th Infantry Brigade, 4th Canadian Division until 9 April 1917, when it was withdrawn from the line after Vimy was disbanded, its personnel used as replacements for other units. The battalion was officially disbanded on 19 April 1917. Second World War. The 2nd Battalion was called out on service on 26 August 1939 and details of the battalion were placed on active service on 1 September 1939, as the 2nd Battalion, the Black Watch of Canada, CASF, for local protection duties. These details were disbanded on 31 December 1940. The regiment mobilized the 1st Battalion, the Black Watch of Canada (CASF), on 1 September 1939. This unit, which served in Newfoundland from the 22nd of June to the 11th of August 1940, embarked for Great Britain on the 25th of August 1940. 3 platoons took part on the raid on Dieppe on the 19th of August 1942. On 6 July 1944, the battalion landed in France as part of the 5th Infantry Brigade, 2nd Canadian Infantry Division, and it continued to fight in northwest Europe until the end of the war. The Overseas Battalion was disbanded on 30 November 1945. The regiment subsequently mobilized the 2nd Battalion, the Black Watch of Canada (CASF), on 18 March 1942. This unit served in Canada in a home defense role as part of Atlantic Command until it was disbanded on 15 August 1943. The 1st Battalion, Black Watch, was brigaded with Le Régiment de Maisonneuve and Les Fusiliers Montreal of the 2nd Canadian Division. However, the FMR were replaced with the Calgary Highlanders in the 5th Brigade in 1940. The 1st Battalion suffered more casualties than any other Canadian infantry battalion in northwest Europe according to figures published in the Long Left Flank by Geoffrey Williams. Disaster seemed to follow the unit on the voyage to France on the day of the Dieppe raid. Casualties were suffered by the unit during a grenade priming accident on board the ship, the HMS Duke of Wellington, during the Battle of Verrières Ridge on July 25, 1944. 325 men left the start line and only 15 made it back to friendly lines, the others being killed or wounded by well-entrenched Waffen-SS soldiers and tanks. On 13 October 1944, known as Black Friday by the Black Watch, the regiment put in an assault near Hoogerheide during the Battle of the Scheldt, in which all 4 company commanders were killed, and 1 company of 90 men was reduced to just 4 survivors. Post-Second World War, on 4 May 1951, the regiment mobilized 2 temporary active force companies designated E and F companies. E Company was reduced to nil strength upon its personnel being incorporated into the 1st Canadian Highland Battalion for service in Germany with the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. It was disbanded on 29 July 1953. F Company was initially used as a replacement pool for E Company. On 15 May 1952, it was reduced to nil strength, upon its personnel being absorbed by the 2nd Canadian Highland Battalion for service in Korea with the United Nations. F Company was disbanded on 29 July 1953. The 1st Canadian Highland Battalion originated in Valcartier, Quebec on 4 May 1951. On 16 October 1953, it was redesignated the 1st Battalion, the Black Watch of Canada. The 2nd Canadian Highland Battalion originated in Aldershot, Nova Scotia on 10 April 1952. On 16 October 1953, it was redesignated the 2nd Battalion, the Black Watch of Canada. The 2nd Battalion, commanded by Lt. Col. R.M. Ross, served in Korea as part of 25th Canadian Infantry Brigade following the armistice from 29 October 1953 to 3 November 1954. 5 Black Watch soldiers lost their lives while serving with the 2nd Battalion in Korea. PTE, Ralph Elvin Turnbull, 1 January 1954. PTE Robert Allen Christie, the 15th of February 1954. PTE Albert Clifford Earhart, the 15th of February 1954. PTE Clifford Joseph Lapham Boys, the 14th of June 1954. PTE Elvin Stanley Sabine, the 26th of December 1954. The 2nd Battalion served on NATO duty in West Germany from 1962 to 1965. 3 regular force Black Watch soldiers lost their lives while serving with the United Nations force in Cyprus. Corporal V. J. Perkin, 2 Black Watch of C. the 18th of October 1965. PTEJ, P.E. Bernard, 2 Black Watch of C. UNFICYP, the 9th of July 1966. PTEJ, A. Lera, 2 Black Watch of C. UNFICYP, the 9th of February 1970. 1 Black Watch soldier, Corporal Vernon J. Perkins, died on the 18th of October 1965 while serving with the ICSC in Indochina. On the 1st of July 1970, when the 1st and 2nd Battalions were reduced to nil strength and transferred to the Supplementary Order of Battle, the Reserve Force Battalion automatically relinquished its numerical designation. Several members of the regiment served on operations in Afghanistan. On the 22nd of July 2006, Corporal Jason Patrick Warren was killed in a suicide bombing in Kandahar Province. Battle Honours. In the list below, battle honours in capitals were awarded for participation in large operations and campaigns, while those in lowercase indicate honours granted for more specific battles. Battle honours in bold type are authorized to be emblazoned on regimental colours. War of 1812, South African War, South Africa, 1899–1900. The Great War, the Second World War in Afghanistan, Afghanistan. Victoria Cross recipients: Lance Corporal Frederick Fisher, 13th Battalion, P. Canadian Expeditionary Force, St. Julian, Belgium, April 23, 1915. Corporal Herman James Good, 13th Battalion, P. Canadian Expeditionary Force, near Amiens, France, August 8, 1918. Private John Bernard Croak, 13th Battalion, P. Canadian Expeditionary Force, Amiens, France, August 8, 1918. Private Thomas Denison, 42nd Battalion, P. Canadian Expeditionary Force, Parvillers, France, August 12, 1918. Awarded posthumously. Alliances: United Kingdom, Royal Regiment of Scotland. Music: Gallant Black Watch, a Scotch-style march and two-step, was composed by Bert L. Billings and published in Toronto by Whaley, Royce and Amp Co. circa 1906. Order of precedence: